It is absolutely insane how perfect Karpov played the game that I will show you today. And I really don't understand why there is not a single analysis on the internet about this game. Really, this game has it all. We have almost unhuman aggressive play, sacrifices, and even a surprise ending. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. But let's start at the beginning. Anatoly Karpov played with the black pieces against Murray Chandler, a Grandmaster from New Zealand that later migrated to Great Britain. I don't even know which picture I will show here from him, but they are all hilarious. Like, really man, I love the 80s. Chandler wrote 3 books for kids. His most famous one was probably How to Beat Your Dad at chess. The two played against each other at the BBC Masters tournament in 1983. There were a total of 8 of these tournaments and only 7 of them were televised. For the last one there was some kind of production error, so we sadly don't have any footage from this game. But if you're interested in this almost groundbreaking, innovative TV show from the 80s, make sure to leave us up because the next video will be about that. As said before, Karpov played with the black pieces, so we will look at this from the perspective of the black pieces. We have e4 and e5, and they both developed their knights. We have the bishop coming to c4, the Italian game, and bishop to c5, the gioco piano. So far this is all very standard. We have castles, knight development, the pawn is going up to make way for this bishop. Everything very normal so far. This c3 move, very standard also, with the idea of first controlling these 2 squares for the knight, and also maybe preparing a d4 push in the future, and after black takes you can take back and you have a huge center. You also see this kind of plan a lot in the Ruy Lopez. The bishop is coming out and we have a6 with the thought of gaining some space on the queen side. White moves the bishop back, so b5 is not coming with tempo. We have h6, kicking this bishop, because it's like the pin is really annoying usually. The bishop slides back and we have the first aggressive move by Karpov, g5. If you're a beginner, I don't recommend to play g5 in this position, because in some positions g5 is absolutely good, like in this position for example, but in other positions you could lose very fast. Also, you really have to be calm here and know what you're doing. Because for example, white can sacrifice here. If you take back and I take, I get 2 pawns for my piece and your king is completely open. And after something like a queen coming to f3, putting pressure on a pin piece, you really have to know what you're doing. There are moves like king g7 that you have to see, and this for a beginner is just very, very difficult, so I don't recommend to play this. If you have this position, just play h6, this is very good, kick the bishop, and find another way to get rid of this pin. Now, he played g5 because Karpov knows what he's doing, and the bishop slides back. In this position, you don't really want to sacrifice. It's not bad, like you could sacrifice here, the computer sees some continuations, but it's better to not sacrifice. The bishop is dropping back to a7. The reason is that white would like to play d4 at some point, and you don't want your bishop to be here and get hit with the tempo, so you move it away first. We have the knight coming out, bishop coming out, also pinning here, but this pin is already a bit more weak, because you could just move away the queen. Right now that's not a good move, but maybe in the future, and this is protected. For example, let's just go back for a second. Here you don't really want to move away your queen to get out of the pin, because after I take, you have this open file to the king. Also in some positions, this isn't bad at all, but again, for beginners, don't do that. So that's why this pin isn't as bad as the pin was for white. And we have king to h1. I spent quite some time, and somehow in almost every analysis I do, there's this one move that I just can't explain to my own satisfaction. I could just like glance over this move and just skip over it and explain the next move, but for me it's very important that we understand every move in a game. King h1 gets played quite a lot here. Now, the only reason I would see for this move is that at some point maybe this pawn gets traded off. In some computer lines this happens, and when this pawn gets traded off, you have king to h7 or h8, rook coming to g8 on this open file, and then this pawn would be pinned, so it can't really defend anymore. And you move away the king preemptively. Also, maybe white wants to open up the board himself, and then you want to put a rook here to target the semi-open king. But I'm still not, like, I don't know if this is the whole reason for king to h1. Maybe some people are way better at chess than I am and can explain to me in the comments why king to h1 is here really the move to go. Because a lot of players played this in this position and I just would never think of that. Funny enough, one of the top ancient moves for black here is actually king to h8 afterwards. So king h1, king to h8, and then they just keep playing normal chess. I don't know, super gems, they're just strange. Afterwards, Karpov moves back to bishop, because this is coming, and again, Karpov usually does not want to get hit with a tempo. He wants to move away first, so when moves like this are coming, those quiet moves, he can attack himself. We have the queen moving out of the pin, and king to g7. King to g7, again, a little bit of a strange move, but it gives the rook more mobility, it maybe even protects the knight, and most importantly, it gets out of this pin. Yes, right now you don't want to move the pawn, but maybe in the future you want to start a huge kingside attack with g5, f5 of course, because you already played g5 and h6, and then you can't do this because of this bishop. So you move it away now. This kind of foreseeing chess is really what Karpov is famous for. By the way, this is the first move that's not the top engine move from Stockfish 14. Some of the moves before weren't the top moves, but if you let Stockfish think long enough, then they actually prefer Karpov's move. So until here, Karpov played perfectly, and this is the second best engine move, which still has a slight advantage for black, but is a little bit weaker than the move g6. Now the bishop drops back, because it doesn't do very much here since the pin is gone, and it would like to get rid of this bishop in the future. So Karpov moves away the bishop again and puts it here, which was the best move before from Stockfish. We have the knight coming to c4 and rook e8. Rook e8 is the worst move Karpov played this entire game. And I think this is the moment where I should tell you, Karpov played this game at 99% accuracy. He made no inaccuracy, he made no mistakes and no blunders. And he has a 5 average centi-pawn loss. Just so you know, normal's average centi-pawn loss for super GMs is between 10 and 20. Karpov here has 5, which means, in case if you're not familiar with the term, average centi-pawn loss means for every move you make, how many hundredths of a pawn do you lose compared to the best engine move. So if you have 100 average centi-pawn loss, that means that you hang a pawn in every move compared to what the engine would play. He has 5 centi-pawn loss on average in this game. After this move, every single move is perfect. Just top engine move from start to finish. Let's go. We have the bishop coming to c2. Queen d7, activating the queen a little bit further and making space for this rook. The queen is coming to d2, also activating the queen further, also connecting the rooks. Here we have rook to d8, and you see those super GMs, they really develop all of the pieces first before they actually attack. Yes, you could say maybe this was a slight attack, but it didn't really start. First you get all the pieces into the game. This is a very good lesson. White plays a4, trying to get counterplay on the queen side. Here we have knight to h5, targeting this bishop. You don't want to trade the bishop right now, because it really can't go anywhere. Like in total, if you look at the position, it looks equal on first sight. But if you look at it a little bit closer, you realize black has way more mobility. This knight could go here, target stuff, and has a very good space here, but you also could just take it back and go here. Meanwhile, the bishop can't go anywhere. Like, you can't go here, you can't go here, you can't even go back, there's nothing. So, maybe you want to trade the bishop later, but right now it's just really not a good piece. This knight here has almost no space to go. Like, you could go back, and then you can go nowhere, or you could go back, and from there you could go nowhere. You can go here, here, there, or there. Here you see your queen blocking. Oh, you could go here. Did I already say that? Oh, but then you can go nowhere. This knight is pretty good. Like, it controls a lot of squares, but also it can't go anywhere. Like, you can put it back. That's it. That's the only square for the knight. The bishop will get pretty active in the future, but right now it's not doing anything. This bishop, however, monster. This knight, yes, it can't do much now, but it could drop back to e7, and then it helps pushing the d-pawn and opening up the center. When this knight drops back, it helps no one, nothing. This bishop is a little bit weak right now, but if you drop back and open up, it can get very, very strong. So black's position is already better. We have b4, which is a slight inaccuracy, and it's not actually even that slight, it's quite a big inaccuracy. What you would want to play here is knight to e3, controlling d5. Because if you don't do this, if you allow d5 here, you are already in a bit of trouble. First off, you can't really go away with the knight, because I just take. You can't take back because it's pinned, you just lose a piece. Very, very simple. And if you don't go away, of course I take your knight, so you kind of have to take here. But after you take, I take back. This is very active, like I'm just opening up everything here. We have b5, attacking this knight, and this is a tricky move, you have to be very careful here. You can't just take here, because if I take back, I have this discovered attack on the bishop, and the only defender of the bishop is getting hit. You also can't take this, which would solve some problems, because then bishop takes e5 check with this fork on the pawn. Right now material is equal, but no matter where you put away the king, I just take this pawn. If you take here, I take you, your bishop is hit, and my position is just very active. So you have to be careful to not take here, but play e4, counter-attacking. You can't take, because after you do this, I take this. This check is hanging, and also your knight is hanging because of the pin. If we go back, you can't also just move away, because I just take your knight. Again, think about the pin. Now, you have to be very careful here as white. So you move away to e3. Now, this isn't hanging anymore because it's not there. So you could move away the knight. Also, your queen is attacked. So Karpov chops it away. We have takes, and now I take the bishop that I prepared before to weaken the king structure even more. Also, this pawn isn't hanging right now, as it was before. I take the knight, and you can't take back, because then I'm just up a piece. So white takes the knight, and here black sacrifices the rook! I'm sorry, I can't scream like Gotham does, because I live in an apartment and otherwise my neighbors will come up and beat me. But he sacrifices the rook. White takes back. We have take with check and a fork on the rook. The king has to move, obviously, you can't take it because it's protected by the queen. And here, Karpov plays a savage move. And this is very special, because Karpov is known for a very analytical, very dry playing style. Which does not mean boring, but it's just like, he won't play flashy moves unless there are the best moves on the board. It's not like Tal that's just like, yeah, maybe the sacrifice doesn't work, but at least it looks cool and just sacrifices stuff. So here Karpov took the rook, and you could just make a queen. This is alright. But he took and underpromoted to a knight. And this is better than making a queen. Now, either way, white just has to take it. If I make a queen, you just take it. But if you don't take it, you could move some other stuff. This is crushing for black, and you will just win if you don't take it. Black will also win if you take it. But you don't really have to take it. Now, if I make a knight, you absolutely do have to take it. First of all, this is just a fork. Now, it's just a fork, I just win your queen. But it's not even necessary. For example, after king to h3, there is this mate in 2. I play check, you move away, and I take your queen with checkmate. How savage is that? And if you move away to g1, which is the only other square you can move to, there is a mate in 5. I first take the queen, no matter what you do. I check, sacrifice my knight, you take. I check again, you move away. Check again, you move away. Bishop check, and rook e8 checkmate. So Karpov didn't make a knight to be flashy, but because it was the best move. That's amazing. I don't know about you, but I think that's amazing. So White obviously took it. We have queen takes pawn, and now after the dust settles, black is up 2 pawns and in a better position. We have the queen coming to e5, giving a check and protecting the attacked pawn. King moves out of the way, rook moves up and rook e8, and here white resigns. Wait, what? White resigns? Why would white resign? I mean, yes, you're down 2 pawns in a bad position, but why resign? Turns out there aren't many places you can go to with your queen. The only safe spaces actually are f6, d4, and a5. And on all the other squares, I just instantly take you. So let's look at the most easiest one. If you go to f6, I take you, you take back, and after this check, I simply win your bishop. Very easy. Then you're down a bishop and 2 pawns. I mean, yeah, just resign here. And a5 and d4 are basically the same. The computer suggests d4. After this, first I move up the rook, straight up threatening mate in 1. If you stop the mate in 1, I go to f3, threatening mate in 1 again. And if you stop that mate in 1, I put the rook on e2, threatening mate in 1 again. Now, if you take, I take, again there's this fork, you lose your bishop, just like that. And if you try to protect it otherwise, I take this pawn. You can't take because that's a pin. And if you take here, I take with check, I either win your bishop or you move in between, I take the queen, you take back, and now I have 3 connected passed pawns. Now, white probably saw some variations of this and just realized here that he has no chance of winning this game, especially playing against the reigning world champion, so he just resigned.